Really, we started Erev Tavshilin a week or two ago. The Sholosh gave a Gavaldige Chabura Sunday, La'orkel, La'rachba, the Rishonim, the Achronim. So we're really deep into Hilchas Erev Tavshilin in Hilchas Yom Tov. But La Shlama Se'inyan from last year that I gave, it was on Yom Tov Sheini, and it's still a big part that I feel is negaya, relevant, just to finish up last year. So we'll continue in Hilchas Yom Tov Sheini, and even in the Shiur, there's going to be a chelik of it that's negaya to Erev Tavshilin. We spoke in the previous Shiur, Yom Tov Sheini, the second day of Yom Tov, is a suffix. To say, even though we know 100%, for Yom Tov, for us, the second day Yom Tov is Vadai Tez Zayin. We have no suffix. We know we go with the calendar, and it's clearly the first day Sukkot, that's the real day, is Tez Vav. Second day is for sure not Yom Tov. However, like we spoke, and the Gemara says, Minig Aviseinu B'Yadeinu, that we keep the second day like Aviseinu kept the second day, and they kept it Midin Suffix. Rav Chaim and Sefer, they speak about it that it's Midin Suffix. However, let's take a look on Rosh Hashanah. That'll be a big focus in tonight's Shiur. What's the Geder? And we know Rosh Hashanah is Yom HaRichta. It's not a suffix. I want to try to take a few minutes to go through how it was in the history of the 1 day, 2 days of Rosh Hashanah. Could be some of it is Pasha, a lot of it is Pasha, but it's good to get Klar, then we'll see a few Nafka Minas Ladina. All the Yom Tovim, who kept 2 days Yom Tov, let's call it the people, the Chutzlar, it's really people that the Eidim, the Shluchim, I meant to say the Shluchim couldn't get to. 15 days they had to get to, the Erech 15 days till Tezvav Nisan, Tezvav Tishrei. So all along where the Shluchim got to, they kept 1 day. Past where the Shluchim couldn't get to, they kept 2 days. So what's with Rosh Hashanah? Rosh Hashanah is the first day of the month. You didn't have those 15 days to Shluchim to travel. You didn't even have a half a day. Vivite, the first day was Edom came the first day to Bakadash to made Rosh Hashanah. You couldn't even go out of the Tchum. So anybody out of the Tchum of Yerushalayim kept 2 days Yom Tov. But that was a regular misafik. They didn't know. What most of Klal Yisrael, within Eretz Yisrael, they kept 1 day Yom Tov. Chutzlarts kept 2 days Yom Tov. Rosh Hashanah was much harder, and for Rosh Hashanah they had to keep 2 days Yom Tov, anybody out of the Tchum of Yerushalayim. What'd you say?
They came even that much later, so they couldn't even walk till out of the Tchum.
I mean, if they came mamash at the end of the day, mamash, so for Yom, then even it was even less people. Anachanami. Lamaisa, what's interesting comes out is that even Yeshua is saying that they came mamash at the end of the day, so then even the people at the end of the Yerushalayim far out kept 2 days. But the emes is that it's shaykh that even Gans Klal Yisrael kept 2 days. To say, so if the Edom came, the Edom didn't come. If the Edom didn't come the first day, so everybody kept, the locals in Yerushalayim kept the first day Rosh Hashanah Misafik, because could be Edom are going to come. But Lulitzu, they didn't come. So they kept the first day Misafik till the last minute. And Edom didn't come. So the second day was Rosh Hashanah. So it was shaykh even that literally Gans Klal Yisrael kept 2 days Rosh Hashanah, but Vaiter only Suffolk. The first day was a Suffolk, or the second day further out, it was a Suffolk. Even the people within, right next to Bezdin Agadol, that they didn't know, and Edom didn't come until the last second, that they didn't come, they kept 2 days. So the first day was a Suffolk, and the second day was a Vadai. So the Vaila, we really don't have anything different at all, B'chlal, from any other Yom Tov. A little bit of different Ma'alach, because Lamais it's the beginning of the month, but the 2 days, more people kept 2 days, so almost everybody kept 2 days, but it was only a Suffolk. What happened? Lamais, this is the Mishnah in the Rosh Hashanah, Mishakilkulu Halavim B'Shir. 2 explanations in the Gemara, what was exactly the Kilkul, what did the Levim, how did they mess up? Either one mandam in the Gemara is that the Levim sang the Shiur Shal Choil, and Lamaisa Edom came. So it says Eidim could come mamash literally the last minute, 5 minutes before Shkia Eidim came, and the first day was Rosh Hashanah. But the Levium already, with the Karban Tamid Shal Bein Arbayim, the Shiur was a Shiur Shal Chol. That was one way of Kilkul. The Gemara says another Kilkul is that they didn't say any Shiur. They didn't know what to do, so they didn't say a Shiur. It wasn't a Bahala, they just didn't know. They didn't know if Eidim are going to come or not. They didn't say Shiur. But either way, the Kilkul Bashir, and Memele Hiskin Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, that he was a cutoff point. From Mina Minchu Lamaila Eidim, they weren't Makabal Eidim. Means even if Eidim came to Bezdin, they knocked on the door, we saw the Levana, weren't Makabal Eidim. Bezdin could be Ma'akav, they could play with the Chodesh. We notice in other times, you don't want Yom Kippur, certain days, the Makadish you saw, Klal you saw as a Koyach and being Makadish. So Mela they could not take the Eidim, Mela will be a Mali. Okay, so they made this takana. So what comes out like this? First of all, how did they accomplish that there's no kilkul? It's very clear, there's a cutoff point. So the Levium knew that Zman HaMincha, if there were Eidim that told us in Makadish the Chodesh, Mela it's Rosh Hashanah, so they knew the Shiur will be Shal Rosh Hashanah. And if Eidim did not come b'mizman ha-mincha, zman ha-mincha is the time, Tamid Shal Bein Arbayim, so if Eidim didn't come, they could comfortably say Shiur Shal Chol. However, the etzem, what would come out lefi this, that if Eidim didn't come until the first day, till the zman ha-mincha, they didn't come, so what did we say? So the Levium could go and could sing Shiur Shal Chol. The etzem come to Chais. B'yisoide it's Chol. We know for sure when Amincha it's Chol, you can really go and do Malacha. You take off your big day Shabbos because you're wearing Mesafik, it might be Yom Tov. Min Amincha you can go and do Chol. But etzem that's what should come out. However, there would be a problem. A kilkul would come out. What's the kilkul? Next year, people are going to be shvach in keeping the first day Rosh Hashanah Masafa because they're going to say, we started keeping it in the Lamaisa Mincha and we changed over and it really wasn't. So to begin with, either they're going to be Mezalzel Mina Mincha Lamaila, if it's really Rosh Hashanah, or they'll be Mezalzel Lagamri. Next year, the first day, they're going to say, what do we have to keep Mesafik? Remember last year, middle of Rosh Hashanah, we stopped Yom Tov. So Mela, together with the first takana, hand in hand came another takana. What was the takana? That enachanami taka min amincha l'mayla, we don't take Eidim. But besides that we don't take Eidim, you have to keep that day, Rosh Hashanah, you have to keep it Yom Tov. Even though it's vadai not Rosh Hashanah. So what comes out very clearly right now? Right now we found clearly why Rosh Hashanah is different. For these few people, the locals in Yerushalayim, I'm not talking about the people that were further away that didn't know. They're keeping it Mesafik. But the people in Yerushalayim, Eidim did not come till Mincha. And Memela, Vadai, we're not making Rosh Hashanah. Still in the Pnei HaKilkul, Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, the second takana, the takana was that you should still hold on to Yom Tov, Tam Shalei L'Zalzel next year. So come to Chais, the first day Yom Tov is Vadai. It's a Vadai midrabanan, but it's Vadai. It's Vadai. Why are we keeping Rosh Hashanah the first day when Mina Mincha L'Mayla Eidim didn't come? Vadai. The Chacham said keep Rosh Hashanah. Not a suffix. It's midrabanan. And when is Rosh Hashanah b'deraisa? The second day. So we see already clearly that Rosh Hashanah has 2 days, but both days are Vadai. Every other Yom Tov, Sukkot, Pesach, Shavuos, the second day, the reason we keep the second day is because we're not sure. Maybe yesterday was Yom Tov, maybe today's Yom Tov. Rosh Hashanah, it's not like that. In these scenarios, and these are the cases that we know for sure today's not Rosh Hashanah, because we're not taking Eidim, so it's Vadai. But still the Chacham said, keep Rosh Hashanah, so it's a Vadai. It's important to mention, there's another Shlav, another takana, let's call it a third takana, a third level, when the Bais HaMikdash was nechrav, so there was no need anymore for Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai's first takana. What was the first takana? That we had to make a cutoff point. There's no more saying, taking Eidim for Rosh Hashanah, because the Levium are going to get mixed up. They're not going to know which Shiur to sing. But if there was no Bais HaMikdash, we should nechrav Bais HaMikdash. We don't have that problem anymore. So Mamela, this takana was bottle, and they used to take Eidim ad till the end. Lamaisa is mavur that even though the first takana was batal, the second takana was not batal. Dahainu, if lu yitzur Eidim, even min a mincha l'mayla, if Eidim didn't come till after mincha, even though we took Eidim and we're makabel the Eidim, we consider it like before the third, like it used to be, that both days are Rosh Hashanah. But Oifid, this is clear, I'm just being myrich a little to get it clear, and we'll see it in Afka minutes. After Mishanecher of Beis HaMikdash, it came out that the first day Rosh Hashanah was Vadai Midoraisa, and the second day was Midorabanan. We'll soon see a little bit of a chiluk about that as well. But Al Kaponim clearly say in the different levels of Takanas, Rosh Hashanah, both days are Vadai. One day is Vadai Midoraisa, one day is Vadai Midorabanan. There are a few nafkeminas ledina between Rosh Hashanah, both days are Vadai, and between the other Yom Tovim that the second day is Safek. The first one is like it's Mavur in the Tur. The Tur brings B'Shem Chuvas Rashi that Leil Rosh Hashanah, the second night, you don't make a Shehecheyanu because you already made Shehecheyanu the first night. So you don't make a Shehecheyanu. The other Yom Tov Mavadi make a Shehecheyanu because Alat Tzad, the first, it's a Safek, even though we really know, but like it's clear that we treat it as a Safek. Minhag Avasei B'Din, we treat it as a Safek. So what does it mean treating it as a Safek? Maybe the first day wasn't Yom Tov, you made Mesafek. So if it wasn't Yom Tov, you have to make a Shehecheyanu. Ma'ashenga Rosh Hashanah, both days are Vadai, so you already made the first day Rosh Hashanah Avadi. Why should you make another Shehecheyanu the second night? And the same thing also, Rosh Hashanah by day on the shofar. Why would you make a Shehecheyanu on the shofar the second day? You made it already on the first day. The Cholkim, the Tur brings Cholkim, that you do make a Shehecheyanu. Why do you make a Shehecheyanu? Why? Why would you make a Shehecheyanu? It's not the second day is still Rosh Hashanah. The teretz is that the second day is different. The first day Rosh Hashanah is only midrabanan. At least if you go with the second takana. Shulchan Aruch Harav has a very big arichas, and he goes with the second takana, which means, which we said before, that min mincha l'mayla we didn't take Eidim, and still the Chacham said, keep Rosh Hashanah. That's midrabanan. The second day Rosh Hashanah is vada midaraisa. So Mamela, you could make another Shehecheyanu the second day Rosh Hashanah on the Vadai Rosh Hashanah deraisa. So, meaning to say is like this. It's clearly the other Yom Tov you make a Shehecheyanu. Here it's questionable. Really, you shouldn't. It's not that you could, is even though it's Vadai, Lamaisa, it's a different Yom Tov. The Shulchan Aruch la'alocha taka paskin siman taf reish sif Bais that be'etzem you make a Shehecheyanu. However, it's toiv lahader. As we know, we have a peri, a beged chadash. We have Paris the second night Rosh Hashanah. To make a Shehecheyanu, meaning to say is you make a Shehecheyanu, but it's a chashayla, it's the machloikis if you're supposed to make a Shehecheyanu or not. So Bela, you should have a peri. Same thing is also by day. The Baal Takeya should have either a beged chadash or a peri. Just to go a little bit study, a little off the mamash topic, but what we're speaking about Shehecheyanu, it's kedai to mention Reb Shlomo Zalman on this nidun. We said there's a machlokes if you need Shehecheyanu or not. So what do? We make a Shehecheyanu, but we're not sure, so we have in mind a peri. Frekt Reb Shlomo Zalman, what did you gain? If you need a Shehecheyanu, it's gevaldik, you don't need the fruit. But if you don't need a Shehecheyanu, you're making a Shehecheyanu on the fruit, it's a hefsek. What are you making a Shehecheyanu? Very nice, so it's not a bracha levatol, but it's a hefsek. The Shehecheyanu has no makom b'chlal. Zay frekt of Shlomo Zalman. It's not a ganzen, no shaykhs to the Shiur. We're explaining that the tzad you make a Shehecheyanu is because l'maisa it's a yom tov shor deraisa. But outside that you don't need a Shehecheyanu. So what are you making a Shehecheyanu second night So as I imagine, in the middle of Dali, you start making a Shehecheyanu, it's a hefsek. How could you make a Shehecheyanu? Zokter B'Shleim Zalman, a Yesoid Gadol, Moiridige Yesoid, in the concept of hefsek, of Kol HaTorah Kula. Hefsek is not the taich that it's there and it doesn't belong there. That's not hefsek. Hefsek, the definition of hefsek is that you masiach das. But often, that when you think that it belongs there, it's not a hefsek. He gives a few moiridige mashalim. If somebody, after you made a moitzi and you speak out, go feed my animals, and he forgot that he sold already, doesn't have the animals, it's not a hefsek. He spoke out. What are you saying, go feed the animals? You don't have any animals. Teretz is l'daitoch, you thought that you're allowed to speak out. It says, moiridige ladina. What happens if somebody makes a Shehecheyanu, Shvi Shal Pesach? Like Kiddush, is that called a hefsek? Do you have to make another agafen? Really, it's a hefsek. There's no Shehecheyanu is a mistake. Shehecheyanu is a mistake. By Kiddush, Shvi Shal Pesach, it's a mistake. What do you make a Shehecheyanu? So really, if you by mistake, we feel bad about your mistake. But if by mistake you made Kiddush and you forgot, you started talking to somebody, you have to make another agafen. It's a hefsek. So what happens if somebody made a Shehecheyanu Shvi Shal Pesach? Zokter B'Shleim Zalman Ladina, it's not a hefsek. Why? Because you thought that Kiddush of Shvi Shal Pesach needs a Shehecheyanu. It's been made like this. We're making a Shehecheyanu because of Yom Tov, because it's a Shehecheyanu. However, we also ala peri because maybe not. But we're making the Shehecheyanu because we think that you need it for the Kiddush. The reason we also do it ala peri is it shouldn't be a bracha levatal ala tzad you don't need. So it's not a hefsek, because why are you making a Shehecheyanu? Because you think you need the Shehecheyanu. But Dr. Shlomo Zalman, you should be careful. This is a wichtige Zach. When you make the Shehecheyanu by Kiddush, Avada, and Moiridik, we look at the fruit and we have all the kavanas on the peri, but it should be also on the peri. If you're only making the Shehecheyanu on the peri, that's a hefsek. What are you making a Shehecheyanu on a peri in the middle of Kiddush? You're making Shehecheyanu on the day of Rosh Hashanah. However, you're also having a mind, ala tzad, so maybe you're also having a mind on the fruit. But Shehecheyanu Rosh Hashanah is not supposed to be on the fruit, it's supposed to be on the Kiddush. Also on the fruit, not to be a bracha levatala. Lamaisi is matzdik, even people that mamash think only the fruit, it's also okay. Well, Lidvarov, he's matzdik, b'di'evid. Because these people that have in mind b'chol ha'kavanas the fruit, they think that the tzura of a Rosh Hashanah Kiddush, the second night, is with a Shehecheyanu on a fruit. No. So if that's what they think, it's right to not a half-sek. What'd say? Yes. Very richtig. If you don't have a fruit, it's toiv lahada to have a fruit. Lamaisa we go ladina that you make a Shehecheyanu the second day of Rosh Hashanah, not because it's sveika the yom like every other yom tov, just like we explained that it's a yom tov midiraisa. But you're right. If you don't have a fruit, you also do it. We explained before that the gather of the first day is not suffix. The Chacham made a takana to keep the first day Rosh Hashanah, even though it's not. Second day. Before we go to the other nafkaminas, it's just kedai to point out that the Chassam Sofer has a long tshuva. We mentioned a little bit about it in the previous year, but the Chassam Sofer says even though Shar Yom Tovim, the second day, we treat as a suffix, he has a very sharp lashon that lahaitzi. Somebody wrote a tshuva, maybe if you could write a get on the second day Yom Tov, Shavuos, because Shavuos is even less of a suffix. You count 49 days. There's no suffix b'chlal. Just quote the lashon of the Chassam Sofer that Yom Tov Sheini v'harachti b'zeh k'tzah, sagt the Chassam Sofer, ki b'avoneseinu harabim robu peritzi ameinu ke'eis hamidu chazoin sheker they laugh al Yom Tov Sheini ki minig ba'almu, it's minig avaseinu, it's only a suffix. V'le'avu la'alach b'ikvei chacham yisrael b'nafsham. Ad kedei kach, says the Chassam Sofer, it's really a toisvis, and he's bothered. How do you make a vitzivanu on the second night of Pesach on Morer? The whole second day is a suffix, and it's a suffix derabanan. Sagt the Chassam Sofer, it's mamash chama kederaisa. He says it's vibes keneder al das rabbim of all klal yisrael, it's kederaisa. I'll call upon him, even though it's saying that Rosh Hashanah's vaday shar yom tovim suffix, that suffix also has its chomer. Another nafkamina, second nafkamina between Rosh Hashanah, the 2 days of Rosh Hashanah and the 2 days of the other Yom Tovim, is Legabe Erev Tavshilin. What we're learning now, in Siman Tov Kuf Chav Zayin, if somebody forgot to make an Erev Tavshilin, 3 days Yom Tov, you have Thursday, Friday, and then followed by Shabbos. The din is, you can make an Erev Tavshilin al Tanai on Thursday, the first day of the 3 days, the first day you make al Tanai, you can make an Erev Tavshilin. If today's Yom Tov, then you don't need an Erev Tavshilin. Tomorrow, Friday, you can cook, no problem. If today's not Yom Tov, so then you can make an Erev Tavshilin today, and you need an Erev Tavshilin, and make an Erev Tavshilin to be able to cook from tomorrow, Friday, Yom Tov to Shabbos. So mainly you can make an Erev Tavshilin al Tanai if a person forgot to make an Erev. However, Rosh Hashanah, being how we're explaining clearly, good, one is the Raisa, one is the Rabbanan, doesn't make a difference. But there's no suffix. Both days are Vadai. Avadas because of Minig Avaseinu Biyadenu. But we keep it like our Avaseinu that kept both days Rosh Hashanah, but didn't Vadai. A clear second nafkamina. A third nafkamina is the din in Shulchan Aruch, Siman Tov Tzadik Vav, which we learned when we learned the dinim of Yom Tov Sheini, like in medicine, Klar Nafkamina. There's a Issa D'Rabbanan to take medicine on Shabbos and on Yom Tov. Gzeira, Shem Yitzchak Samamonim. On Yom Tov Sheini you're allowed to. Even a Choyle Shein by Sakana you're allowed to. Why? Because Lamaisa, the whole Yom Tov is only a suffix, Yom Tov Sheini, so you're allowed to. Klar, Ramah. However, Rosh Hashanah is not like that, because Rosh Hashanah, the second day is not a suffix, regardless of which takana we're going with. It's the Raisa, the Rabban, but it's not a suffix. It's not a suffix. You can't take medicine on the second day of Rosh Hashanah. Let's go back a little bit now to Shehecheyanu of Yom Tov Sheini. So we explained very clearly that Yom Tov Sheini is a suffix. Well, Mesupik, we treat it as a suffix. It could be the first day wasn't Yom Tov. But maybe when it comes the second night, Sukkot, Pesach, Shavuos, you make a Shehecheyanu. Wait, what, you made a Shehecheyanu? Maybe you made a Shehecheyanu yesterday. You made it already. Maybe Teretz says if yesterday wasn't Yom Tov, there's no makom for a Shehecheyanu. And maybe you make a Shehecheyanu. You have to make it on the Yom Tov, on the Regel. If yesterday wasn't Yom Tov, there's no makom for the Shehecheyanu. However, there'll be a big chiluk that comes out the second day Sukkot. The second night Sukkot, we make a Shehecheyanu. But the Shulchan Aruch, it's Siman Tov Reish Samach Aleph, the Shulchan Aruch says we switch around the Kiddush the second night Sukkot. The first night, we say the whole Kiddush, Shehecheyanu is at the end. Because the Shehecheyanu also goes on the Leishav Basukah. The second night Sukkot, Zok the Shulchan Aruch, you should switch it around and say Shehecheyanu and then Leishav. Why? Explains the Poskim Shiur. What do you mean? Yesterday wasn't Yom Tov, and that's why you're making a Shehecheyanu again. So yesterday wasn't Yom Tov, and you didn't sit in the Sukkah. The Teretz is the Shehecheyanu legabi the Sukkah doesn't have to be on the yeshiva. Havada, the din is that if somebody made a Shehecheyanu on building at a Sukkah, you no longer have to make a Shehecheyanu on sitting in the Sukkah. We Lamaisa don't make it on the building because we make it when we sit in the Sukkah to be B'kayim both. But Lu Yutzu made a Shehecheyanu when you were so excited you made a Shehecheyanu on building on the Sukkah. You don't make a Shehecheyanu again on eating in the Sukkah. You'll still make a Shehecheyanu mitzad the Yom Tov, but now it's eating in the Sukkah. Memela, the second night Sukkah, why are you making a Shehecheyanu the second night? Because of Sveiki de Yoima, you're not sure maybe yesterday wasn't Yom Tov. Good, so you should make a Shehecheyanu. But Klavei the Leishav Basukah, there's no need for Shehecheyanu. Because the Shehecheyanu you already made yesterday, even if it wasn't Yom Tov, Lu Yehei, it wasn't Yom Tov, you make it on B'niyas HaSukkah. Lamaisa, many have the minig not like that, and the hesber why you would make it at the end. Avada the Leishav Basukah, the Shehecheyanu doesn't go on the Leishav, because you can make Shehecheyanu on the B'niyas HaSukkah, which you did yesterday. Narvos, just like you find Yak Nahaz, we're going to have now the Yom Tov of Pesach, the second night Pesach Leila Seder is Yak Nahaz. So when do you make the Shehecheyanu? Yak Nahaz, The Zman Shehecheyanu is the last after Havdalah. Has no shaykhis to Havdalah. What are you putting Shehecheyanu all the way at the end? The Torah says it's fine. You can put Shehecheyanu at the end. So you can put Shehecheyanu at the end over here also, even though it doesn't belong in the Leishav. What's about Lulav? To say it's like this. These two reasons we make a Shavuos by night. Why do we make a Shehecheyanu? Only because of the Yom Tov. They did Shvisa. Shmini Atzeres also, Medin Shvisa. What's about Leil Pesach when we make a Shehecheyanu? There the Shehecheyanu go on two things. The Shehecheyanu goes on the Shvisa and the Shehecheyanu goes on the Mitzvah. Sukkot as well also. The Shehecheyanu on the Shvisa, now to do Malach, it also goes on the Mitzvah. Purim, when you make a Shehecheyanu on the Megillah is on the Mitzvah. Chanukah, you make the Adlokas Neres is on the Mitzvah. What's about when you take the lulav in the morning? It's on the mitzvah. So l'cha'ira, when you took the lulav the first day, al hatzad that the first day wasn't Yom Tov, so you weren't going to make, you don't mark him for a bracha. So why don't we make a Shehecheyanu the second day Yom Tov? Why don't we make a Shehecheyanu on the Netilas Tal of Minim? Zogen the Paiskim, weiter the same thing like Sukkah. Just like Sukkah, you can make a bracha on the B'niyas HaSukkah, you can make a Shehecheyanu on the Igud of the Lulav. Lamaisa, the Shaila that Taza asks from Shofar, I don't understand. I want to ask the Olam. V'afol gaf the Gabe Shofar. Min hagenu loimer zman afilu b'yom tov Sheini. So what's the shaila? What's he asking and then what's he answering? What's the shaila? Ask the shofar. The minig is to make a Shehecheyanu b'yom tov Sheini. So what's the shaila? Elamai, it's different than lulav and sukkah, which you don't make a bracha on the building of the shofar. So milavanda you make it. So what's the shaila? What's the shaila? What's the Taz asking from Shofar? I don't understand. Well, maybe afterwards could be ma'ayin. Shani hasam de l'pa'amim ikra kedusha b'yom tov Sheini. What we said before, that it's maybe that the second Yom Tov is the Raisa. But what's the noise? What's the nidun l'gabi Shofar? Lulav we understand. Sukkah we understand. You can make a Shehecheyanu. But what's l'gabi Shofar? Could you make a Shehecheyanu? It seems because he asked, by Shofar. If he held that you can make a Shehecheyanu on the, so to speak, making the shofar, so what's the teretz about the second day? You're not making a Shehecheyanu on the day. That you make by night already. The Shehecheyanu is on the mitzvah. Just to be Messiah, Mi'inyana the Yoima of Purim, we're speaking a lot about Shehecheyanu of Yom Tov, Shehecheyanu of Rosh Hashanah. So we said on a Yom Tov, these two reasons to make a Shehecheyanu on these mitzvahs. There's a Shehecheyanu on the Yom, the Shvisa, on Shavuos night you make a Shehecheyanu, there's no mitzvahs. You make a Shehecheyanu on the Yom Tov. Then it comes Sukkot by night, Pesach by night, you make a Shehecheyanu, Sai on the Yom Tov and Sai on the mitzvahs. We said Lulav is on the mitzvah, Sukkah, which is by night, goes together with Kiddush, is both. Pashtus, we said Purim. When you make a Shehecheyanu, Pashtus, it's on the mitzvahs. We know when you make a Shehecheyanu in the morning, it should be on the other mitzvahs. By night we make a Shehecheyanu. What's the Shehecheyanu by night? On the Megillah. It's not Medivra Kabbalah, it's the Midrabanan. Pashtus, it's only on the mitzvah. But Oifen, what happens if you don't have a Megillah by night? Not by night, not by day. You don't make a Shehecheyanu on the other mitzvahs because it's not a mitzvah above Zman L'Zman. Suda you always have. You don't make a Shehecheyanu. What happens if you don't have you don't have a Megillah? Do you make a Shehecheyanu? If it's only on the mitzvah, you do not. Zok the Bir Halacha, gewaldige Chiddush. Bir Halacha says you make a Shehecheyanu. Al Pi Meiri, and he says that the Shehecheyanu a little bit different than Yom Tov. Yom Tov, the Shehecheyanu is on the Shvisa of Yom Tov. However, over here you make a Shehecheyanu, v'pnei toikvei shel nes. Take a look in the Bir Halacha. I think it's clear, he says you make it. Which is interesting to note, the same thing should really come out Chanukah as well. Lu Yitziyah, now you don't have menorah the whole 8 days. you would make a Shehecheyanu also on Toik Vishalnes. The Sharatzian over there is mesupik about it. For Tzorachin, he says if you make a Shehecheyanu. But I think Lagabi Purim, being that besides the Shehecheyanu on the mitzvah, there's also a Shehecheyanu on the Yoim. So mainly, even if you don't have a Megillah, you're not going to read the Megillah, you still make a Shehecheyanu.